Have you ever wondered how a machine weighing 500,000 kilos can not only lift itself off the ground, but also cross oceans with absolute serenity? Today, we're going to discover what truly makes airplanes fly. And I promise you, after this video, you will never look at a takeoff the same way again. To grasp the scale, imagine the Airbus A380. This giant of the skies can weigh up to 575 tons at takeoff. It's as if an entire building suddenly decided to rise into the sky. Logically, such a mass should remain pinned to the ground. But physics decided otherwise. It all begins with a historic turning point, 1903. The Wright brothers achieve the first controlled flight. Only 12 seconds, but enough to prove that we can fly thanks to the laws of physics, not by mere chance. What followed was a relentless race from the legendary Boeing 747 to the A380, proving that gigantism can rhyme with efficiency. But how does all this metal stay in the air? The answer lies in the balance of four fundamental forces. Weight, gravity pulling the airplane toward the center of the Earth. Lift, the force generated by the wings that pulls the aircraft upward. Thrust, generated by the engines, it overcomes air resistance. Drag, the force that slows the airplane down. Aerodynamic resistance. Important clarification. Contrary to popular belief, engine thrust is not used only to accelerate. In cruise flight at constant speed, thrust exactly balances drag. If this balance is broken, the aircraft changes its flight regime. The true secret of the wing, lift, and action-reaction. How does a wing create this invisible force? Many believe it all comes from the wing's curved shape. That's true, but incomplete. A wing works thanks to two inseparable principles. Bernoulli's principle. Because of the airfoil shape, air flows faster over the top surface, creating a drop in pressure. The airplane is literally sucked upward. Newton's third law. This is the crucial element. The wing is not there just to split the air. It is there to deflect it. By tilting what we call the angle of attack, the wing projects a phenomenal mass of air downward. In reaction, that air pushes the wing upward. Forget the myth that the air on top must meet the air underneath at the back of the wing at the same time. That is scientifically false. Lift is the art of manipulating pressure and precisely deflecting airflow. It is this combination of suction and push that allows a 500-ton colossus to float in a fluid as light as air. Air also has a surprising property. It is viscous. This is the Coandă effect. Instead of bouncing off the wing, the airflow sticks to its curvature and follows its tilt to the very end. The faster the aircraft goes, the stronger this flow becomes, allowing the wing to lean on the atmosphere as if it were an invisible ground. The wing's metamorphosis, flaps and slats. However, at low speed, during takeoff, a standard wing does not generate enough force. That's when the airplane changes shape. You've probably noticed these moving parts extending before liftoff. At the rear, the flaps. At the front, the leading edge slats. When deployed, they increase the wing's surface area and accentuate its curvature. This transformation allows the wing to deflect much more air downward, creating massive lift, even at just 280 kilometers per hour. Without them, an Airbus A380 would need a runway twice as long to even hope to take off. The heart of the beast, engine power. But what triggers this acceleration? Modern aircraft use high-bypass turbofan engines. Unlike older jets, most of the thrust does not come from burned gases, but from the massive fan at the front. On an engine like the Rolls-Royce Trent 900, about 80% of the thrust is generated by the cold flow, the air that simply bypasses the engine core. It is a Herculean force. A single one of these engines produces 360 kilonewtons of thrust, the equivalent force needed to lift 36 tons vertically. With 4 engines, the A380 has a power reserve capable of propelling this steel skyscraper to cruising speeds close to the speed of sound. Why climb so high? Once airborne, the aircraft climbs toward 10,000 meters in altitude. This is no coincidence. At that height, the air is much thinner, offering less resistance. The airplane consumes significantly less fuel to maintain its speed. Moreover, the intense cold of the upper atmosphere optimizes engine performance, while the flight becomes more stable, far from ground-level weather disturbances. The takeoff ritual, V1 and rotation. Everything is decided in a few seconds on the runway. As the engines roar at full power, pilots monitor critical speeds. V1, decision speed. Once passed, takeoff is mandatory. You can no longer brake, even in case of failure. VR, rotation. This is the magical moment. The pilot gently pulls back on the control column. The nose rises. The angle of attack increases. Lift finally exceeds the aircraft's weight, and the colossus leaves the Earth. The landing gear retracts, the flaps retract, and the Iron Giant officially becomes an airliner, navigating gracefully through the stratosphere. Once the climb is complete, the Colossus reaches its kingdom, cruising altitude. Here, the magic of physics operates in relative silence. Everything finally reaches perfect balance. The wings lift supports exactly the hundreds of tons of structure, while engine thrust compensates millimeter by millimeter for air resistance. At 10,000 meters of altitude, the aircraft flies at 900 kilometers per hour, slicing through an atmosphere where it is minus 60 degrees. Inside, you feel nothing of this freezing chaos. Pressurization and air conditioning systems recreate a comfortable bubble of life. But look out the window. The sky is no longer the same. At that altitude, the air is so pure and thin that it barely scatters sunlight. The blue becomes deep, almost dark, touching the boundaries of space. For hours, the airplane flies, often on autopilot. But did you know the aircraft evolves during its journey? As it burns tons of fuel, it becomes lighter. To remain efficient, it climbs in steps to even higher altitudes, where the air is even thinner. It's an invisible dance with air density to save every kilogram of fuel. But every journey comes to an end. When it's time to descend, the airplane does not fall. The pilots simply reduce thrust, and the machine begins a controlled glide, a flight of surgical precision. It's a gradual return to denser, more resistant air. As the runway approaches, the metamorphosis resumes. The flaps deploy again to keep the aircraft airborne as the speed drops from 900 to 250 kilometers per hour. The landing gear extends, breaking perfect aerodynamics to prepare for contact. Then comes the flare, that graceful instant just before touchdown, when the pilot slightly raises the nose to round out the trajectory and gently brush the runway. As soon as the wheels touch the ground, physics changes sides. The spoilers rise on the wings to kill lift and press the airplane onto the ground, while thrust reversers and brakes transform kinetic energy into heat. In just a few seconds, the giant of the skies becomes a terrestrial machine once again. So why doesn't this aircraft, weighing several hundred tons, fall from the sky? Because nothing is left to chance. Every rivet, every wing curve, every turbine blade is a tribute to the laws of nature. The airplane does not defy gravity, it masters it. It uses the force of air, the power of fire, and the rigor of mathematics to transform an impossible dream into a daily routine. Don't forget to subscribe to continue this journey with us.